Good. Did you have a good weekend?
I did. We had a Christmas party at the house Saturday evening.
Oh, were you drinking eggnog? Were you drinking alcoholic
Yeah.
eggnog?
We invited you, but you didn't come. So we just we did break North Carolina laws. So please, nobody turn me in.
Oh, right. Yeah. No one turned. How are they going to turn you in? It's like if guys were to show up at your door, you're like, oh, hey, Mike, what's up? Hey, buddy.
Yeah. So yeah, we did that. I messed my back up on Saturday.
What were you doing? Picking
So
up your
we
laptop? What were you doing? Picking up your laptop?
Yeah, that was it. So it actually kind of left my wife having to do a lot of the work on Saturday, a lot of prep work for the party. So,
Oh, goodness. Were you laid up? Were you laid up in bed or something?
I could move, but it was slow.
Oh, dang.
Like it's a little better now, but like it was like take you 5 minutes to get out of bed, like slow.
Oh, geez. That's crazy.
Oh, yeah, painful.
That's not fun.
What about you? What'd you do all weekend?
Oh, it was super quiet. I actually, I think I told you this already. On Saturday mornings, I like to have a meetup with a few buddies of mine. One owns a hotel and a few restaurants and stuff like that. And then we meet also with another buddy of mine who owns, how can I put this? Kind of like a villa, but like he owns multiple villas and an old mansion he's like revitalizing. So it's kind of like a hotel. Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know how to put it together. Here they call it a solar, but if I say solar, nobody knows what that is. So it's just, yeah.
It's like you're talking about solar farm.
Right, exactly, yeah. But we ended up closing one, not Florin's deal. We got one on Thursday before Florin. Have you had anything happen to you where it got kind of pushed up beforehand?
A little bit. Right before we went on air, I talked about one you and I've got. It's kind of been pushed up. It was delayed a little bit, but pushed up. The ones that I've had delayed has been also due to perk test issues and things. And but I think that I have been seeing that and talking to other people and listening to other people. I think that a lot of these title companies in place are trying to, clean out what they can so they can take that last week of work off. I think is what they're trying to do.
I agree with that. It's kind of interesting because in conversations with some title companies this weekend, this week and the end of last week, what was interesting was how many of them are really like, they're saying in their emails how, oh, we just want to move this along. We want to get this closed before Christmas. So that's actually a good sign. So to hear even Sarah having her deal, closing on Wednesday, and then those are the updates that I have, and I know we got quite a few others. This is another one that's happening for Nick in our group, but it hasn't gone into our private group. Yeah, so Nick's he's just recently closed 2 seller finance deals, and I know that's something that you enjoy doing too, right? The seller financing, get the notes in and all that.
I love that. That way, you're not having to chase that next deal to feed yourself for the month.
That's what you just said. Yeah. Well,
We've all been there.
yeah. That's so true. Well, residual income is always a good thing. And that's one of the, I think, benefits about doing owner finance. Actually, I was on the call earlier today with a gentleman who is interested in becoming a partner. So he doesn't know too much about real estate, but he knows the work that I've done over the years, and he's happy. I've actually made him money before in the past. And he said, well, how can I get into one of those residual deals, right? He's got X number of dollars set aside, and he's like, how can I get into one of those residual deals? And so I mapped it out for him, and he was like all excited. He's like, let's do that. And that's the beautiful thing about residual deals is they, that passive income keeps showing up no matter what, right? No matter if you're pulling out your back or whatever you're doing, or taking the time out, that those deals just keep coming through. So that's good stuff.
One thing I would encourage everybody to do between maybe next week or something. And I told you, I literally before this show got off the phone with my accountant.
Yeah,
we do this every year. We do it quarterly, but we're trying to wrap up to see where I'm going to be, if I'm going to have to, hock my home and car and everything else to pay my taxes
Yeah.
for the year. But long story short, we came out actually a lot lower than what I thought. So I'm very happy. Matter of fact, we're going to pay it and be done with it.
Yeah.
And hopefully zero out for the year. Talk with your accountants and who CPAs, whoever's doing your taxes.
That's so true.
Because there's a little bit of time that you may move some things around. I know that he's told me, you know, move this into a retirement account or do this. Use this opportunity to maximize what funds you keep in your pocket. It doesn't hurt. And it's a quick call. I mean, we did the call in probably 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And probably half of that we were chit-chatting.
Yeah. But you bring up a good point. I think it's like the end of the year tends to slow down a little bit. And, you know, me personally, I agree with you. I've been in like this organization mode for the past, few weeks. But one of the things, it's funny you mentioned that, because one of the things I did is I booked an appointment with one of my insurance guys, one of my insurance brokers. I only have two, but so one of them, I booked a call because of that same thing. I was like, okay, let's plan out for the next 3-5 years, actually. So I want to make some changes to some insurance policies. And I was already thinking that. So yeah, I think it's a great thing. CPA, any legal stuff, lawyers, and then, insurance, whatever it is, I guess a good, financial plan, holistic financial plan, and make sure that you're set up for the next year. A lot of things have happened this year, but I think also a lot of great things has happened, a lot of bad things and a lot of positive things to a lot of people, especially even in our group. We've seen so many people's businesses like just skyrocket. Like they're just gone from either doing nothing to something or doubling the amount of deals they've done. And even in our, I think 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, Mike, we had a great Friday update call where we talked about goal setting and also vision boards. And that was, a very, great call that we had. But Mike, today we're talking about how to market to buyers and what would be appealing to them. In last week's episode, we talked about how to market to sellers and the things to focus on for sellers. Today, we're talking about how to market to buyers and how do we focus our marketing to attract a buyer.
REI Conversion is a complete system to help you simplify your land investing business. With our core land management and CRM tool called REI Pebble, it streamlines the entire process of land investing. From automated printing and mailing of your offer letters, to easy document generations for contracts, to purchase agreements, all the way to tracking and managing your property's buyer and seller leads. REI Pebble helps you and your team save time, automate, and organize, allowing you to run your land investing business from anywhere and giving your land business the tools and system the chance to scale and grow. Get an exclusive extended free 30-day access into REI Pebble today. Take advantage of our low bulk mailing rates with no commitments by going to www.fearlessmillionaire.com/pebble.
I won't market a property, and you've seen some of my emails back and forth. I will not market a property until I have about every answer that I think that a buyer's going to ask me.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And the more you do this, the more you realize what questions they do. I want to be able to present a full package out there in my marketing, but more importantly, when they call me, I want to be professional. I want to have those answers so that they know they're just not buying from some crazy nut, that I know what I'm doing.
That's what happens when they call me, like this crazy nut.
but it actually builds a lot of trust in things. I talked to a guy the other day about a property. It didn't work out, but he's on my buyer's list now. He's like, Mike, man, I love the conversation. You always got the answers. We've got the cash. We're ready to pull the trigger. You just got to find me the right property. So yeah, that's what we're doing.
That's so when that's a good point. And I know you've also had a lot of like repeat buyers, in kind of recent months. So one of the things I always think about when it comes to marketing to buyers is I love how you said that you like to find out, what they're looking for. I like to identify what it is they actually want in a property, right? So whether it's land, whether it's houses, whether it's an apartment, whatever it is, whatever the property type is, I like to identify what do they really want. It reminds me of the real estate agent who has to show 40, 60 properties before they realize they should have pre-screened their client a little better to find the ideal home for them. I look at that almost the same way. If I have a buyer coming in, I want to make sure I know exactly what they're looking for, what they want, and so I can kind of like cherry pick that particular property for them. When it comes to showcasing a property, Mike, what do you? I don't know. Let's talk about softwares later because that's like keeps buzzing in my ear. But when it comes to marketing the property, what do you find that works to like grab their attention? You know, is it property details? Is it pictures? Like, what do you find that really like gets their attention?
Determine what type of buyer you're marketing to. Like if it's a neighborhood lot, your buyer is not some weekender that wants a place to ride their four-wheelers. That's not who your buyer is.
Yeah.
You know, if it's a building lot, then you may want something in your asset. Perfect building lot, great neighborhood, that sort of thing that draws in that buyer that's looking for a neighborhood lot, and not looking to have some big ranch or something, or farm. So I try to, my keywords in my ad and things is I'm trying to grab the attention of a particular buyer. And rather that be, if that's a large parcel, then I may be marketing to that four-wheeler or, you know, off-grid person, whatever the property may be. Now keep in mind, I don't want to zero in just on them. I want to keep it a little broad, but it kind of pays a little bit more attention to them, because that's probably at the end of the day who my buyer is anyway. Because when I'm buying the property, I'm thinking exit strategies. Who's going to buy this property?
Yeah.
Also.
Well, that's a good point. Like, who's going to buy the property? What's the ideal, I guess verbiage or pictures for that type of person? So it sounds like to me, having the maybe, or as much as someone can think up, like having the ideal end buyer's desires in mind. So if the property is what, let's just say it has a river running through it or something, or a river nearby, it's marketing that property. Hey, there's fishing nearby, something like that. And that may appeal to that audience or someone who wants a river, right?
I tell you another cool thing you can do, and I've done it in the past, and one of our students is doing it on one of his now. It's really good. Florin is doing, he's got a lot. It's a little bit of steep lot.
Okay.
But what he did is he's got a photograph of a home built on that property, the type of home you could build. Because if you're looking at it, you may think, I don't know if I can build a house or not on it.
Yeah.
But it literally shows, like I thought it was the neighboring property. It's what I thought it was, because it shows, man, that's a cool house. It gives me a vision for that lot. If I'm looking for a lot, I like that area, I'm worried about the slope. Well, this gives me the vision to see what I could put on that lot.
That's a great point, because it's setting up the vision for the end buyer. Sometimes they can't see it. They can't actually see, where would the house go? Maybe they're thinking it's going to go over here or over there. Just like in houses, that's why they actually stage or put furniture, rented furniture.
It's staging for land.
Yeah, staging for land. It's the same thing. It's like you're staging your land by putting what could be as a potential property house there. It's the same thing for houses. You stage a house, staging land as well. It's that same thing, because you're putting the imagery in the client's mind, the end buyer's mind, to say, hey, this is what it could look like. And it does help. It helps them visualize that, because sometimes people just get these mental blocks and they don't see it. I love that. That's a great example for sure. I wanted to also ask you about, let's talk about nitpicky buyers, right? Like buyers that haven't made up their mind yet. How would you handle those types of situations with a buyer who maybe like, they have the money, but they're just not settled in their mind?
The running joke that I typically end up telling students not far along in the process, I kind of let them find out themselves that dealing with buyers can be more aggravating than dealing with sellers sometimes. It just depends on if you get one of those nitpicky ones,
Yeah.
I try to answer their questions. The biggest thing that drives me insane is well, where's the property located? Well, if you're really interested, you would see that in the ad that you could have read.
Right.
But what I typically do in that, I just push it back to them and say, we've got the address notes and GPS coordinates listed in the ad. Let me know if you have any further questions about the address.
Yeah.
I don't spoon feed the address to them because if they're serious, they're going to look at that sort of thing.
True. Well, that happens. I mean, this just happened recently. I don't know, a few maybe months ago, because I was listing a property, house, and it was like the one that got me was the square footage, and it's literally on the listing. It's there. It's like it's right there, And it was there was a few other questions that were not annoying, but it was like, okay, I can answer that. Okay, I can answer that. But then it was like square footage was like, oh, that one was so simple. And those things can sometimes be nitpicky, but I agree with you. Sometimes dealing with multiple buyers can be like, especially if they don't know what's going on or not paying attention, it can be really frustrating. In a situation of having multiple buyers, I want to chat a little bit about that. I know we got one of our clients who is in the situation where they're having multiple buyers, like piranhas on a piece of meat, on a finger in a fishbowl. What would you do in the case of having, multiple buyers who are attracted to the marketing, they like the property, and now you got like a buying frenzy? What's some solutions there?
My first thing, I'll probably jump up and down on my desk out of excitement. You want to maintain control of the situation, the whole thing. You want to maintain control, because if not, you may get a alpha buyer in there that will try to take control from you.
That's a good
it's
point.
Your property. You set the timeline of how things are going to happen. I'm very big on being fair to everybody. Look, I got more offers. No, I can't tell you what the other person offered. But I got other offers. We're looking at Wednesday at 5 p.m. We want all offers in. Yeah. And only thing I need from you, and tell them what you need from them. I tell them, and what I need from you in the email is what your top dollar that you can offer on it, how much, earnest money, and when you want to close. That gives me enough to know that I can look at your offer compared to everybody else's. Whoever I decide, then I can prepare the contract and get the contract out to you.
Yeah. What about in those situations of like, I've always heard this question come up, is who do I give the contract to, who do I give the property to first? Is it because they signed the contract? Is it because they put their earnest money deposit down? Who's coming up first?
Well, in this situation, I would say, okay, Nathan, you got the top bid. It's 5:01 p.m. Wednesday. We've decided that you've got the top bid. I'm emailing you the contract now. I got to have it back signed by 12 noon Thursday, or I'm going to the next person.
Okay.
And I probably would add that into my contract. Just another line item.
Yeah.
Contract must be signed by this date and time.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's definitely a good tip for the contracts, because, it definitely shows the end buyer, like, look, this is your deadline. And it creates that urgency on your buyer. You can do the same thing with your seller too. Like, this offer will expire at such and such time and day. And this just creates urgency for people to make, take some action, which is really helpful. That's really helpful. I wanted to also talk about the buyer frenzies, and then I should have had my notes in front of me. Sorry.
I'll tell you another thing while you're getting your notes.
Yeah, I'm gonna open up
Here's
my notes.
Another thing. Let's take it to the opposites of what we're talking about, Nathan.
Okay.
What about you got that property? It's crickets. There's no buyers coming to the table.
Definitely.
Yeah. What do you do about that? And I actually went through a couple properties with one of our students this past week. Man, I looked at, like, I tried to poke holes in his ad. He writes good ads.
Yeah.
I said, dude, I can't poke holes in your ad. To me, when that's the issue, right, even though the numbers look like they should be right, maybe you got to adjust price.
Yeah.
I always say, if you adjust price, maybe adjust the top picture, the primary picture, just because that makes it a little fresh too.
Sure.
But if you got crickets and you can't get anyone to do something, then get creative with your ads. And there's a whole plethora of ways to get creative with ads. But what you're going to have to do is create, maybe not necessarily frenzy. You just want one fish for it.
Yeah.
That might be a goldfish or something to come swimming in your pond.
When you have multiple fish, right? But they're not not the crickets part, but you have multiple fish. And then what do you do with the ones that don't buy? Right. They're
not taking the line and running.
They're not taking the line and running with it. We're trying to get all these illustrations out here. So they're not taking the line. They're not running with it. And so at that point, you have this potential buyer, but what's your strategy with them? Because I have this one approach that I really hang on to. What's your approach with, the fish that, circles the lure, but doesn't bite?
Yeah. Maybe nibbles at it. I try to create that sense of urgency as much as I can without being, dishonest. Look, Nathan, we've got other people interested in this property. I'd hate for you to lose it. That's not a lie. There's other people who is interested in the property. Right. They're not very interested, but I'm trying to create that urgency that, hey, Nathan, somebody else may jump in front of you. I don't want that to happen. But I'd love to hear what your methodology is.
So my thing is, when you have a bunch of people nibbling, but no solid fish on the line, right? And there's okay, I don't have a solid buyer, but I have all these people that are interested. Even if, eventually you do end up selling that property, the reality is I focus on this so much because it's called I call it building a buyer's list. It's no matter if even I always have this in mind, Mike, if I have a marketing going on for a property, I never expect that person to buy that particular property. I don't know why. Because I think more times out of none, I'm either getting them another property or putting them into something, and all of a sudden, one of them buys the property. But in my mind, I always think it's not the first person, it's not the second. It's going to be maybe 10, 11, 12, who knows, however many people are going to eventually buy that property. So what do I do with the nibbles? Right? What do I do with those the people who are still interested? Do I just let them go? I don't like to. I like to make sure that I get them by taking them through my process. And that process is what I call building a buyer's list. That means I screen them. I just literally did an email earlier today about this to one of our clients. And I said, hey, look, I would structure your take-in call script this way, because you can get more out of the buyer and you can ask them more detailed questions. And this way, do you have permission to follow up with them? Any buyer that nibbles on a property that we're marketing, I ask them, do we have permission to follow up with you? We have other properties that may interest you. Can we put you on our mailer list? That I think is really important, that I think a lot of investors mixed out on, because when you have another property that the property they may have called in about or contacted you about might not be the exact one, but if there's another one, then you can, catch them.
Drop it right in front of them.
Yeah, you're just right in front of them. You're getting them on your mailer list. I think a lot of people miss out on that opportunity. So that's my thing when it comes to building a buyer list and working with buyers. And also they can be the ones who actually send you clients as well, right? They can even send you referrals. I think that you said that just happened to you recently, right? Wasn't it? Or
I've had that happen to me before. Yeah. They'll bring somebody else in it. But a buyer's list. I'm glad you brought up a buyer's list. That's very important. And make notes on it. Like my spreadsheet on my buyer's list has specific notes. Also, you want to know if they're cash buyer, how much they can spend. That's very important.
Very important.
They may be looking at a $15,000 property you got, but they may be willing to spend 30.
That's a great point, because and I think a lot of people get, and that's actually the one thing that I put inside of the take-in script is, what is your budget? How much are you looking to buy? What's, how much, capital do you have? And getting those details out, and you have to put that in there, because they may be looking, and this has happened so many times, they may be looking at a property that you have and they have more money, but they don't know about the property. Mike, how many times have you walked into a store and you only expect to buy that one thing and you walk out with a bunch more, right?
Every time.
Every time. Every time. I just did that the other day. I was going, to the grocery store, and I was just going to go pick up one thing. I walked out with like 5 more things. It happens all the time. So again, that's really important. I think, people don't really grasp on that, when it comes to marketing is, building up that buyers list is really important. Okay. Last thing I wanted to chat with you is about promotional marketing for buyers, such as a sale, a clearance, a unique piece of urgency that gets the buyers to take action. Let's talk about that a little bit. Maybe holiday promotions. What's your take on that?
End of year sales got to go before 2021.
No, that's true.
That's what you need to be marketing right now.
That's a big one, right?
That's the big one. Got to have it sold. Don't want to pay taxes on it in 2021. Whatever the sales pitch is. This is a perfect time for that. So yeah, take advantages of holidays. Take advantage also. This coming year, we're going to have, the tax season. I think a lot of people here in the U.S. are going to be a little
surprised,
shaken by the fact that they may not be getting the tax returns they think they are because they didn't pay taxes on the free money, quote unquote, that they received throughout the year.
Yeah.
But tax time is always a good time also to do sales. But throughout the year, I try to do different things. Anytime I do a price drop, Nathan, I try to make a little bit of a big deal out of it because I want to draw attention to it.
Yeah.
I noticed what I like about Facebook Marketplace now. I don't know that everybody, Facebook releases things in stages, so not everybody gets it all at the same time. But my marketplace, at least for me, now shows what the price was and what it is now.
Oh, that like just happened to you?
Yeah. Well, about a month or two ago. Oh, so maybe I'm behind.
No, yeah, no. I don't know. I think you know what I think happens.
It's a different setup. I don't know.
Yeah. No, because you're right. But you know what's interesting? You know how I told you I've been banned from Facebook Marketplace USA, but here in Europe, that's already been going on for like 2 years. And actually, I can get on Facebook Marketplace here, but I can't get access to the United States. And I find that really interesting. And I think it's mostly my profile personally. But it's interesting because we actually have that slash price already. We've been having it for quite some time. I thought that was a really unique feature. I actually thought that was already over there.
It may have been.
And
it may be because the layout is different now.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody else can chime in and say, but I see it now more than I used to.
Right. Okay.
And that may be the whole thing to it.
That's true.
I think that's important.
Yeah, they have been making some changes recently. They've also been getting sued too.
Yeah. I wish you and Mark would make up so you could come back in the U.S. And
yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that's about. I know what it's about and why, but I don't know if that will ever change. Maybe in the future. I don't know. I've submitted like 5 or 6 support tickets to let me break.
That's a waste of time.
It is a waste of time. It's crazy. Like no one responds back at all. They're like, no, we are not. It's like they made a declaration like, we will not respond to support tickets. No, go to our help center. That's about it. Oh man, it's crazy. All right. So that was the last thing I had in my notes about promotions. And I like how you said end of year. And also there's holiday promotions, whether Black Friday or Columbus Day or whatever other holiday you can throw in there to create, more urgency or a reason. And lastly, Mike, I think we've talked about this before. How about motivated investor, right? So it's like you have the motivated seller, but how about the motivated investor where he says, need to unload this properties fast, for whatever reason. It's almost like the investor is, sounding more motivated than the original seller, right?
Right.
You create like all these properties must go, liquidating everything we have, investment firm liquidating all properties. I've seen that before, which is really interesting. But
another thing you can find out about buyers is, depending on the platform that you're marketing properties. Now, we teach multiple, the more you can get it out there, the more people it's going to see it. That's my motto. But, typically you got Facebook, you got Zillow, you got Craigslist. Each of those type of buyers are a different type of person. The person that's on Craigslist may not be so much into social media and stuff because they're still on Craigslist looking.
That's true.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
It's just the type of buyer. So they may not be quite as tech savvy, or that they may be tech savvy and still looking there. Facebook Marketplace people, that's people obviously that has Facebook accounts, and it gives you opportunity of different ways to maybe market to them. Then you got the people on Zillow. A lot of times that's the ones that a lot of times are represented by, at least for me, that's where my ones that are represented by realtors come from.
Yeah.
Because they're looking, or their realtor say, hey, my client sent me this, can we work on this? So it kind of tells you the type of buyer you're getting based on where you're marketing it.
Yeah, I also think a lot of people like classified ads, are there's a lot of people who go to classified ads, like especially cash buyers. If you want to buy something all cash, whether it's used or new, or you're finding someone who's like looking to, just work directly with someone, not go through some, whether it's a realtor or whether it's a store or whatever, you just get that side angle of classified ads. And a lot of apps like this are coming out more and more, such as OfferUp, Let Go, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, even though it's almost like classified ads are being modernized by these newer apps, but it's still out there because people buy that way.
Deal with all your buyers. You talk about those pesky buyers. I had one time that I told him, I will not sell your property. I'm going to sell it to you for more. And he ended up still buying it. I mean, we wanted to kill one of them. We literally, thank God he was in Florida. I was here. But work with buyers. They got quirky things, but at the end of the day, if they're going to pay you for your property, work with them.
That's so true. Good stuff. All right. Good stuff, Mike. Thanks everybody for joining in. This has been another episode of the No Fear Investing Show, where we help you unpack and uncover hoops and hurdles about the real estate investing business to help you move forward and advance and scale your real estate business. We will see you next week. See ya.
Yeah.